Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this virtual podcast brought to you by the Miami-Dade Public Library System. Today, we got a very special podcast. We have a guest today. A lot of you might know who he is. But before we introduce our special guest, I want everyone to go introduce themselves so that we can leave our guest for last. So my name is Vinny.
Hey guys, my name is Shamir, one of the instructors at the north side.
My name is Chris Miller. Look at that logo. Look at that.
My name is Vianney.
My name is Rachel.
Hello, everybody. My name is Xavier, one of the youth at YOUmedia.
And we saved the best for last. None other than Mike the Great. What's going on, Mike? How are you, man?
What's up, guys? What's up? How's everything?
We're doing good. So today's podcast, we're just going to hang out, talk a little bit. We brought you in today as our guest because we see that you're, not only are you an influencer in our space with the teens, but you have your own business. You're a designer, graphic designer, visual artist, whatever you want to claim, Ben. Like, that's Mike. That's the guy that we know that can do those things. But before we start asking questions, Mike, why don't you just give us a quick little background about yourself? How'd you get started? Just a quick little bio about you so that people, whoever's watching or whoever's on this call, gets to know a little bit about you.
Oh, okay. So, far as the art scene been going on, I've been doing art since I was little, but I really took it serious when my senior year of high school. So, I had AP art. My teacher, which is still my mentor to this day, he almost painted with faith, and he actually got me into turning art into a business. So that's been, my go-to lately, far as that's not even my go-to. That's just been my life. Art has been always surrounding my life. Went to school for art, did art since high school, middle school. So that's been, part of me in a way. So that's how I got started. My senior year, somebody actually taught me how to turn something that you love into a business. And since then, it's always been a continuing trend for me.
And so, because we went to the same high school, Homestead Senior High School. Shout out to them Broncos. So what the teacher you were talking about, who was it? The art teacher?
Davis. He came there our last year. He came from Booker T, I think, or Carol City, one of them. But Mr. Davis.
He was new. He was the bald head guy?
Nah, he wasn't bald. But everybody would say, we look alike and stuff. Oh, that's your brother? I'd be like, no, that's my art teacher.
I think I know what you're talking about. And so one thing that I saw you starting out in, the way I was introduced to your art was at high school. You were painting on on the walls and stuff. You did you can share this.
Mural?
Okay. Mural. Yeah, mural.
You can talk about it. I was going to talk about it.
Yeah, it was a mural we did. It was two of them. No, it was one of them we did for the police department. Every school has a school police, so they had their own specific room. And I would go to the schools and speak about our art department and stuff, different schools and stuff, different middle schools. And that's when I think Chris kind of a lot of people started to see me in that light as an artist, because I tried to hide it. My coach, I didn't want him to know, because with the arts, people be like, oh, you do arts, this, that, and the third, or and being a jock in high school, oh, you're a football player and you do art, bro. And some of my
what stereotypes were they throwing at you though? What was wrong about that?
It wasn't nothing wrong with it. Just when so many people see you for so long in this light of being an athlete, your parents are athletes, your brother are athletic. It's oh, now where did the art come from with you? So it's I never told my coach I could draw. And he was family. You know, his son played in the NFL, and because that's the only thing they seen was athletic, like athletes, you know, the whole. So me in this new light, like when he first saw me, I was nervous. I was like, so, you know, he's like this big dude walking around, you know, and I was just like, wow. So, you know, now, you know, I get the respect from, you know, family members and other people that actually like, you know, see it and stuff. So I'm not ashamed no more.
That's crazy. I never knew that about you. I didn't know you were ashamed about about that at first.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, well, I think what we can just like, you know, maybe continue off that is like you mentioned, you played football, you know, you're, you know, come from a family that's all athletic and all that stuff. Like, so you mentioned also that the high school teacher was the one that kind of pushed you to go into this sort of world, you know, and you had your interest, but what was really like, what, you know, what got you to go to, like, let's say college, or, you know, that was going to be your career? Like, what was the defining moment for you, if it was at a young age or in high school or even after high school, that you were just like, you know what, I'm not going to play football, you know, or I'm not going to get like a, you know, a regular 9 to 5 job kind of thing, like study that. Why, when was the moment where you decided I'm going to do art?
My senior year, like I said, like everything happened my senior year. That's when I actually really redefined, you know, what it was. I started to get more involved in it, as far as, you know, doing murals, and I actually learned how to. I had somebody to actually teach me, you know, what it was to, you know, pursue the business side of art. And a lot of times we see music and all this stuff, but we see the creative side. But once I learned, like, I can make $1 from selling, and I sold 3 paintings and stuff like that time. I was like, wow, like I can really make money from doing, you know, art. And after that, I was just like, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna take this to the next level. So, you know, he trained me to learn his wing, and actually, you know, gave me tips. He taught me how to paint. I actually was learning how to paint. Um, and from there, that's where everything just blossomed and stuff. So, yeah, so then
Yeah.
I was saying,
Sorry.
you know, after that, I was just like, you know what, I don't want to go to school for sports no more, because I was finding myself staying up late working on the painting, and, you know, found myself staying, you know, at school, you know, during class times, I would go to art to work on paintings, and, you know, so I was like, you know what, this is what I really want to do, you know.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. So during your process of like doing art and developing your style, were there any like visual artists or painters that has like heavily influenced you, like your style?
Yes, it's a lot of painters, like, you know, that influence me. And one thing I'm learning now, as I go to galleries, they always ask me, you know, I remember one gallery tested me like, hey, what is this artist? What is that artist? I was like, I don't listen. I don't, you know, I don't know. But it was crazy because he was like a jerk. Like, honestly, he was a jerk. And I was like, bro, I don't want to be here anyway. So I left. He was like, no, we could give you a wall. No, 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 no. But you know, everybody know a lot of, like, they know about the Renaissance artists, Michelangelo and all them and stuff. But the artists that really influenced me is like BK, the artist, for what he stand for, the stuff that he do, and like I can spot his paintings anywhere. So BK really influenced me. He's a big influence now.
Who's BK? I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
Brian Knight. Brian Knight, he's an artist from Boston, and his stuff is amazing. And some other artists that, you know, that influence, like John Brown. He's one of them. He's an artist. We actually met personally, and he is a real good artist. Like, he has collectors, both of them actually, and they both, like, they influence the culture around them as well. So they're not like, like, they have this whole like culture to them. You know, like a rapper you could tell that's a rapper by the way, you know, they dress, the way, like, their persona. That's the same thing with these artists. Like, they represent the culture around them, and they actually, you know, they're just not like, you know, an average artist every day that's like, you know, I don't want to be rude, but like, you know, they have this, not this hippie mentality, but more of a like, you know, welcoming mentality. Like, you know, they got the leather jackets, they got, you know, just that type of persona and stuff. Like, so yeah, so those are the two artists that influenced me. And then some more artists as I scroll through Instagram on the regular, like I just see some amazing artists and I just be like, wow, like stuff is dope.
Okay, can I talk a little bit
Oh, sorry.
about persona? So, as an artist, and we're talking about like painting, you said very similar to like, you know, how in the music, like the hip hop culture, you could tell um, someone like if they're an artist or a rapper, kind of the way they carry themselves. Exactly how, like you were saying with the leather jackets, is that something common or?
No, it's not. One thing I'm learning about, sorry, I cut you off?
No, you're good.
Oh, no, one thing I'm learning about the art world, I went to the Pembroke Frank gallery before the Corona had closed down. I was working with them to, you know, meet them, and that's where a lot of emerging artists started from. And my friend Estano, I forgot his name, but he travels as an artist, and you guys probably see his stuff over Wynwood and Miami and stuff. And the crazy thing is like, you know, with the art world, it's crazy. Like stuff that I learned this year is like you think what you think, but then there's a whole different ball game to it. But with that, like, what was your question again one more time, Chris?
I was just trying to understand. I guess is there like a persona or a type of culture in the art world that you know I don't know about?
I think it's more like those are more the quiet people laid back. I don't know if you ever been to an art school, but at my art school, the artist was always in the cut. It was always like away from the whole scenery and stuff. It was more of like, you know, they were like their own little, like you had the animator, you had the art, the animators, the art, you had the graphic designers, the music production, the film, the fashion designers, and the artist was always away. And in life, you know, you kind of see that now, like the artists are always like in the cut somewhere pretty much. So with these guys, they're like they're in the light. They know the people like T.I., you know, they do work for people, for certain athletes, you know. So it's not that, you know, that in the cut type of artist. They're more of like, I'm an artist, that's what I do. And, you know, people respect their work, you know. And they actually come with that style too. Like they wear the Timbs with paint on it, or they wear the leather jacket with paint on it, but they also stay, you know, true to who they are. So yeah.
I have a question. You know how it's the saying about writer's block? Is there ever a time where you experience, I'm going to make it up, but like artist block? And how do you break out of that when you're coming up with new ideas to paint?
That's interesting. Yes, there is some such thing as an artist block, and it's crazy because I was just talking to a friend the other day. She's a full-time artist, and I was telling her like, man, like I want to do some amazing work, but I don't want to just do it just to do it for people. And me and her was talking. She was like, you have work that you do for a trend, just like the music industry. You do a song and it just ride that wave. And then you got work that you actually do, like the J. Cole's that actually put out stuff that has a meaning and stuff. And sometimes, you know, society, you know, like things in society may trigger that emotion, or you may see a certain piece that may, so it's always something that's going to trigger, you know, that emotion that you're trying to portray. And for me, and it's crazy because I just did this piece and I was like, man, I was trying to copy a certain style that I did. I did a piece for John Brown. He plays in the NFL. And, you know, I never painted skin tones before. So I'm like, you know what? Let's transfer that to my work. And for him, I did it because, you know, I guess the drive behind it was the fact that, you know, he's you know, someone So like, all right, cool. So when it triggered to my work, I couldn't actually do it. I'm like, dang, like this not turning out how I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to actually stop and be like, and I called one of my friends up. I'm like, man, like this is really like frustrating me. Like I want to put out good work, but at the same time, you know, I can't do what I need to do and try to ride this wave, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you know what? You know that collection that you did with the hands, those right there. And he was like, and I was like, yeah. He was like, you know what you can do is that you can stay true to your work and stuff, stay true to your style. And I was like, do I really want? So what I did was I just scrapped the whole piece, and it's that piece right there. I scrapped the whole piece. I'm like, you know what? Let me start over from scratch, cause and let me stay true to my style, which is the black and white, the monochromatic colors and stuff. And you know, with that being said, when it come down to artist block, you know, sometimes you got to question, like, do you got artist block because you're trying to, you know, like, what is the, you know, the intention behind this artist block? Is it because you want to try to capture a style, or are you working on something, or are you trying to be something you're not? You know, like, what is the intention behind it? And for me, I couldn't really put out the work that I want to because my intention wasn't pure with what I was trying to do. So I had to, you know, check myself. So that's something that I learned from that situation.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I think we've all, as creative, experienced some type of block. And usually it comes from like outside forces of you paying attention to like what other people are doing and not staying really true to yourself.
Yeah. And that's what happened with this piece. And the crazy thing is that they're doing a Black Lives Matter. They did a Black Lives Matter submission. So I was like, you know what? Before I was like, you know, let me do my work that I do. You know, I was trying to paint the skin tones and stuff, and it was difficult. So I was like I said, I scrapped it. And now the piece that I just did is actually, it's going to be on, in the gallery for the expedition for the Black Lives Matter Talk Black Voice. I forgot what it's called, but it's going to be on that expedition panel and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, with that being said, I think you kind of touched on this, and I want to ask you. So, what connection do you have to your art?
To my heart?
To your art, not heart, art.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it ties with the heart because you know you're connected.
Yeah. What you mean? Can you give me an example?
So you're kind of saying like, so you want to be true to, you know, the art that you create. Though sometimes, you know, you'll bust out and do something for like a customer or try some new stuff. But to overcome that writer's block, you're trying to stay true to the art that you make.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that connection? What's that, you know, what speaks to your heart when you're about to create something like, hey, this is what I need to create. What's the connection there with your art?
It depends. Like I said, like for me, one thing I noticed is that, you know, the connection to my art is that I guess it's just pretty much who you are and what you're trying to like portray. And, you know, the meaning behind most of my work that I do is pretty much is I try to have a, you know, that emotional connection that people say. Like you always try to give that off, but sometimes, you know, you can't give off emotion because not everybody is, you know, sometimes it's hard for people to read, you know, that emotions off just an image. So I try to, you know, the work that I do, I try to, you know, see what's going on in society, what's going on around, you know, to actually help people draw in, not just, you know, I want you to see it my way, but, you know, back it up with this is what's going on around it. So, you know, you have no choice but to see it this way. You know? So I don't know if that answers your question.
So you try to reflect on what's going on in society, and
Yeah.
you have something to say about that. So you put that in the painting, your art.
Pretty much. Most of the time. Never say all the time. Most of the time. So yeah.
Could you give an example? Like what art did you do? What was going on in society? What?
Actually, I got a better example. I can show you one. So I don't know if you guys can see this one, but this one right here. Um, yeah, this one right here. That's one I did for, that's one I was telling you guys about earlier. It's called I'm Two in America. So that's pretty much what's based on, Langston Hughes, his poem and stuff. Actually, my wife gave it to me. I didn't know what I was gonna call it. And it's a friend of mine, so that's his portrait piece in a way. So that's him posing. He's in the army. And I was like, you know what? Can I use that piece? And he was like, yeah. So, you know what's going on around around, the nation. That was like, okay, you know, let's put something out to reflect that, not the violence part of it, but what can we become, in the future. So, yeah.
I love it. I
That's
love all the
awesome.
shadows that you did in his face.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
That's
Xavier,
so
do you
cool.
have a question for Mike?
Yeah. So first of all, that painting is dope. And
Thank you.
shoot, for like upcoming artists and people who want to get into the artistic being of it, what would you say to someone who's like who wants to know about it and wants to get into it? Like, how would they start?
I'd say first, personally, get learn about, the masters, the Renaissance artists, and where did they start and how did they start? Because it really will affect what you know and pretty much, how your work will turn out, Nowadays, like I said, everybody want to ride this trend of doing art and like painting on the boots and stuff and the jackets, which is cool. But, know where, the art that you want to do come from, who's done it before. Because I know they always say that you're never going to reinvent the wheel. So, start brushing up on your craft. And, even to this day, like I still, try to learn about like what can I do better with my craft and stuff. Like how can I take it to the next level and what can I do to take it to the next level. So things in that nature could really give you a foot in the door and stuff. Because when you get to and that's a crazy thing, when you get to the top, I remember somebody told me, they're like, if I put you in this spot with this gallery, and it happens multiple times. When I got into a store, there's like, if I put you in the store with Nike or this store and stuff, would your product bring the same customers, So when you get to that level, or if I put you in a gallery with this person and this person, would your art attract, or how many eyes will see your art? So it's like when you get on that platform with those people, you want to actually, bring it, So, and I hear that a lot of people, that's up there, they always say, well, if I give you this or I give you that, are you going to show out? Like if I put you in a scene with Kevin Hart, is he going to carry you, or you're going to, do your part as an actor or artist, So that's pretty much.
Mm,
So, yeah.
thank you. Mm,
Awesome. I think another like good point to that is like, mentorship, growing like in anything, when you're trying to master a skill or whatever practice it may be, it's always good to like be next to someone that's, experienced or has, skin in the game in other words, because there are other things that, they're going to show that you might not learn by yourself or going to school or wherever it may be. So I think like for me, like growing up, if when it came to like editing or like filmmaking, like I always try to surround myself with individuals that were way better than me, that were smarter than me, not that like, sometimes you did feel like smaller in the room, but it's not always about, you trying to be in the room where like you're the best. Like, no, you should always try to put yourself in a room where people are better than you and things are smarter than you, and you would learn from that, So when it comes to like anything, and just in this world, like if you're trying to learn art or learn how to design clothes or be a filmmaker, like you need to spend time with those that have been there and, have experience, so that they can just like give you just like life lessons in that area too. You might like learn stuff that, okay, I know how to do this, but there might be things that isn't always about like a practical like lesson, like, okay, let's learn how to do this and be better at this, but more as a financial, standpoint, like, oh, how is that life, or how is it work, or on an emotional standpoint, like, how is it for you? I think those mentorships, they're gonna tell you the truth. They'll be like, yo, it's hard, or it's easy, or this is how it is. This is it is for me. This is how it was when I started, or throughout the years, So you gotta find somebody and cling on to them, and then move on. You go to the next person that you look up to as a mentor. I don't think that should ever end in your career or in your life. You should always stick by people that will help you accomplish the thing that you want to accomplish. So another like question I would probably want to ask you, Mike. I think we already mentioned like a couple of like just like art periods and movements, that in this world, or in history. So if there was, if you had to be alive during like a piece in history, a time in this world, which like art movement or art period would you choose to be alive in? You can date back all the way to like Stone Age if you want, to like now. Maybe now is the time that you're like, I think I want to be here in this, where I am right now.
You seen those paintings on the Egypt wall? There's no joke, bro.
I don't know. They have some stuff. I say, for me, I say the Renaissance time is because like you really had people that respected the arts and the masters of that time. So when you was honestly, I would love to be, with Da Vinci, or Leonardo and all that stuff. It's due to the fact that if I was one of their apprentices, I would actually have to learn how to paint like them. Yeah. So it's like I would have a Da Vinci style to my painting and stuff. And it was back then, like if you was an apprentice, that was something big, because they had like schools for, apprenticeship and things like that and stuff. So I would love to go back to the Renaissance period, where they actually painted with raw materials like egg yolk and stuff. And, when they actually really brought down the meaning of, like using skin to actually paint on like animal skin and stuff like that. So I feel like it was very raw and authentic back then. And you actually really got the full, understanding of what it is to actually be an artist, with the apprenticeship. And, they're teaching you, like, imagine learning from Da Vinci. You know what I would do? To paint the Sistine Chapel. Yes, master.
Yes.
For real.
I bet one of your dreams is to go to Italy if you haven't been already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the period I like, or the Picasso period, when Picasso and or Jean Basquiat. I like to go back to those periods, and especially learn from the greats like Jean Basquiat, Andy Warhol. So, well, not too much Andy, no. But Jean Basquiat, yeah.
No Andy?
He was a designer, honestly, at first. But I wouldn't want to learn. I would learn from him, but I'd go with Marvin Jean.
Wait, you would go with Marvin Jean?
Yeah, Jean Basquiat. I would like to get more understanding from him as an artist. Because you look at his stuff, look very cartoonish, and I'd be like, yo, my little sister can do this. But the stuff, like the movement behind his paintings and stuff, and honestly, he had somebody that was a good representation, like Andy Warhol. Like, dude was a beast when he came down business-wise, And, so those are the two periods I would like to go back to, either the Renaissance or when Andy Warhol and Jean Basquiat was, around.
I have a question. You know how when people, let's use studying, for example, they'll play classical music to get their mind going, or some people like listen to some R&B, something chill. When you're painting, do you listen to music or do you need silence? And if you do listen to music, what are you listening to?
Oh, I listen to music. I have to. I listen to Drake.
Okay.
One of the big ones I listen to because he's very emotional with his music. Pretty much Drake. I listen to Drake. And it depends on what I'm painting. Like if I'm painting like that over there, I'll probably listen to what the artists that dropped. So mostly like the new trends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So you vibe out to like hip hop, R&B, rap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Emotional hip hop.
Emotional, yeah, crying.
No.
Drake.
Look, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
What about Michael Jackson? You paying with Michael Jackson on the back?
Nah.
No.
No.
You just say the dance moves for that, right? Just.
Yeah, that's when I gotta come out. So.
Hey, by the way, I was gonna say for your 35th birthday, I'm gonna take you a ticket. I'm gonna give you a ticket to Italy. You and your wife. 35th birthday.
Oh.
I'm gonna remember that.
All right, Chris. This is being recorded, so.
This is being recorded.
So
Everyone heard this. Mike, that's it. It's set, bro.
Put me in your stories. I've never been to Italy. I've always wanted to go.
Yes. So yeah.
Same.
All right. I'm gonna hold you to that, Christopher.
Italy? Oh no.
Got to, bro.
I actually have another question. Miami, how has growing up here influenced your art or just like culturally, like where you grew up?
Miami, it has influenced my art a lot. As far as the people, the things that it bring, the Miami life. But honestly, it's been very confusing with Miami because the thing is with Miami, like I said, it influenced my art enough to get out, like get away from this art scene, honestly. Just due to the fact that, the Miami artists and the Miami galleries, especially the galleries, I, don't really, cling to because it's more of like what sells, what's big, what's popping. Like it's very, I kind of say, I feel like it's very messy in a way, the galleries in Miami. There are a lot of good galleries, honestly, but the ones that you see a lot, like 9 times out of 10, it's very commercialized. The galleries down here are very, very commercialized. And, that's just like the real estate down here. Everything is very commercialized. So, it has a good influence and a negative influence at the same time. So, I'm gonna say it's always, peaches and cream, but Miami was more upset on, like if I go to, Atlanta, where you have a lot of galleries that's, pretty much a lot of galleries in Atlanta. Like they actually know their stuff. The galleries down here, even if you come from overseas and you grew up in that lifestyle of art, it's like you see a lot of gallery owners, they pretty much want the things that's gonna sell this, that, and the third. So it's like a retail store, honestly. So yeah.
You may have to rent out your own space if you haven't already and just start.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what a lot of artists are starting to do, especially with, like I say, galleries down here. You really gotta know a lot about the owner, due to the fact that not everybody see art in the same way, and that's the sad part about it. And especially like for different artists, to some gallery owners, that art that you do, I don't want, like I say, I'm a Black artist, and if I be like, hey, I want to get into your gallery, and it's like, all right, cool, what type of work do you have? I may have work that's of an artist, but if it's not that work that they're drawn to from Black artists, then it's like, yo, so it's a lot.
Yeah, I think you definitely have to network in that sense. I was reading this article about this elderly woman in Brooklyn. She had a a whole bunch of brownstones. And so she had one vacant brownstone, and she got like Brooklyn artists from like around the way in the neighborhood who needed a place to show their art. So she let them hang up their art in the brownstone, and they made that into a gallery, which was interesting. So you never know who you might know,
Yeah.
you know, from Miami that may have a space, and you may find a good location.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing with down here is that, you know, a lot of the art scenes, sometimes, especially in Woodwood, they turn into party scenes. And it's like, if you're gonna like, and that's why like for me now, I choose a lot of, like before I was just jumping into art shows. But then it's like, you know, you get to a point, can I make a profit from this show? You start thinking like the business mentality. All right, if I like the show that I'm doing now, I'm gonna be doing soon, they actually paid me to actually put my work up in the show. So now it's like, you know, started add seasoning on your burger once you start knowing more things. And it's like, you know, I'm not just like, oh, I have a show, come bring your art out. You know, if it's a gallery owner, she's in Atlanta, and she owns a gallery down in Atlanta, Miami, and one in New York. And she was like, no, if you're gonna go out to the show, you know, just sell prints. Don't even take your artwork out there. Probably have a table, just sell prints, you know. Don't, like, if it's not on that level, then don't do it, you know. So all about the mentorship, you know.
What would you say is a good gallery then?
Down here?
Not only a specific one, but what makes a gallery good?
I say the Franks. The Franks in Pembroke Pines is an amazing gallery because two of them. Art Fusion, I don't know if you guys know about Art Fusion, but that's a gallery too, which is real good. But they do contracts. And, you know, they accepted, I was doing art with them and stuff, and they accepted my work. But they called, it started with a B, I forgot what it's called, but it started with a B. And you have to pay them to hang your work up in their gallery. And say if the wall is $500 for a space, just to hang it up compared to everybody else's work and stuff. All right, cool. But now I got to make sure, can I make this money back? You know, I need to have a profit off of it, you know. We can't just give you $5 and hope and pray that you know, sell my work. It doesn't, you know. But then you have some galleries that will come to you, hey, we like your work, we like what you're doing. You know, we want to put you in our gallery and stuff. So the Franks is pretty good. Like they give you, you know, they give you solo shows, and a lot of emerging artists, a lot of big artists started from the Franks in Pembroke. They have like, you know, the wine, the cheese. Like they actually give you that elegant feel of like, you know, this is a, you know, show, you know, and people came to actually see and view your work. They got contacts with galleries, other galleries and stuff. So, you know, so you know, it's not more of a, you know, game for the gallery, it's more of a game for the artist plus the gallery. So yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have like, a random question, do you have like a dream client, like you would love to like make a piece for, like a celebrity to like hit you up, like like, hey, do this piece, like you would get like super like hype for?
Yeah, I think it would be like people like, you know, Jay-Z. You know, he's a big collector. He has like over $1 million of artwork alone.
Wow.
So I'd say Jay-Z would be a person I would love to do work for and stuff. Or Will Smith. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, so yeah, either Jay-Z, Will Smith, Denzel. Yeah, because he called me to do a film with him. I wasn't able to do it. So I was like, I'm gonna send you a piece.
How did I know this was coming?
So yeah, I was like, I'm gonna send you a piece, Denzel. I call him Denz, you know, we close like that.
Right.
So yeah.
I know.
Is Rachel here? Rachel, are you there? I don't know if Rachel had a question.
I'm here.
Did you have a question?
I feel like my questions were answered, honestly. Like it pretty much went through exactly what I was planning to ask.
Yeah, and Rachel's an artist too as well, you know.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like I feel like a lot of what you said was like really good advice, and um it's been a while since I was really approaching the art world myself, for as far as galleries and stuff. But one thing that I would say as well, Miami does have a lot of money for a lot of resources for young artists.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grants that you can apply for too, that you can get just large sums of money with the provision or studio space, materials, budget for things for a show, just provided that you show them that you will follow through with the plans that you put forth. So I would say, like, you need to, yeah, always build, like, be practicing for the game before you go into the game. Be prepared to fulfill the situation of your dreams and be practicing that. And it is sometimes it's kind of a strike, you wanna strike the iron while it's hot, and yeah, you build momentum and you can lose it. So I respect Mike for really keeping on top of his painting and always putting new stuff out there throughout ever since I've known him. He's always making new work. And that's really, we miss him because he was so inspiring, with always creating.
Rachel would tend to get you sentimental.
I know.
But yeah.
I cried while you first went a year ago. I'm just kidding, but it's been about a year.
Yeah, so I feel you.
Rachel just reminded me of something. So for any teens who are interested in grants, or if you know any adults who are looking for grants, if you go to Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, they always list different opportunities for artists in Miami and grant options you can apply for. So that could be a good source as well.
I got a quick question. Which art are you most proud of as of today that you did?
Which art I'm most proud of?
Yep.
Man, this purple, the True Love collection, like, I'm really proud of it, due to the fact that that's been, because I sell prints as well, so that's been the main thing that's been selling, is a True Love collection and stuff. And I think most of my new work I'm proud of, because I had to I gave away all my old work. Like, I just gave it away.
And you didn't give me one, bro?
Bro, wait, no, I'm serious. He's gonna give me boy.
Nah, you.
This is a conversation we had us anyway.
I gave all of it away just due to the fact that I wanted a fresh start, like, because all right, so in the past, I'm sorry, I gave that away. So I know, but honestly, in the past, I remember it was a blog too, Cry magazine. We did a blog with them. And I told them about a story how I did work that I sold it for $200. It was a painting of a Bugatti, sold it for $200, and that person wound up selling it for $10,000. So, with that, and then some other stuff, a lot of work that I did in the past that I still hold on to, unless my mom got it, I just gave it away. Fresh new start, clean slate, so. But the collection I'm proud of now is the True Love collection.
And is that ever going to be sold to anybody? Is that a personal artwork, or will that ever be, I don't know?
Sold? Yes, it will be sold. I sell most of my work as collections, but now you say it, that's gonna be personal artwork. Nah, people been asked to buy it and stuff, and but I just keep it, for like I say, you get emotional connected with some of your work, and that's something I'm working on now. That's why I make the prints and tell people about the prints. So. That's something, I'm learning to, get outside of.
Has the number of prints that you make affected the value of the prints? Like, do you put a limited edition mark on them, or do you kind of get to go around that as your own independent artist?
My goal as my own independent artist, like I don't like the part of limited edition. It does create a source of value with your work, but then it's like, once I like, you look at the Mona Lisa, I don't think it's a limited edition to that. Like, you guys on the black market, people sell it, but there's only one original. So the print value that I print with, it makes me put out more work. Like, if I do canvas, probably put out 200 canvas of each size, and those sell, then I go next to frames, and I just keep it going, and I keep it in rotation. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's part of the business.
Yeah.
Everyone does it different. Like, I know of this artist that, like, that goes to my church, and it's like, it's very rare for him to have multiple pieces. It's usually like, he'll make it and then that's it. Like, he won't even make that print, but that's just how he does it. Your business could be that way too, a different way. So you just have to, like, have that mindset. But for sure, the limited edition or the personal stash is like I guess the most prized possession for artists, and even collectors. People want to have the original. People want to have that one that, it's been passed down from generation to generation. So that's cool. Like, I think that's important, like, to cherish your work also for a period. Like, I can imagine, like, there's artists nowadays that, like, maybe, like, they'll do something, but they won't show it to the world until, like, 10 years later, because they're like, I wanted to hold on to it because it's mine, and then they'll do what they want. They can give it to charity, or they can sell it, or put it in the gallery. But, for sure, what you said is, it's so important. Like, you should appreciate your own work, not just, like, just do it for, like, the money, or just do it for, like, getting it out there. Like, there's things that you might do, and it's just for yourself.
Yeah.
And that what you said is super important for people to, like, understand that if they're trying to be, visual artists, painters, or any sort of, like, designer.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like it's just like, and I try to tell, like, even to this day, like, knowledge people that art is an asset, so it's like, it goes up in value, so you buy it, and it's not every time you buy art, but it's like, you do a painting, and like, the reason why the greats like the Mona Lisa, once they die, those paintings didn't come to life to years later and stuff. So it's not like right off the back you die, it's gonna be like Brito, probably, yes, because he has a set ground now, foundation for his work. But those greats that passed on back then, those didn't come to the forefront to years after they passed away. So like I said, like, you value your work when it's done, because at the end of the day, it is an asset. You could pass that to generation to generation to generation to generation. And that's why I try to tell a lot of people that when they come, they're like, I want to buy this, or people that like to do commission work, or look, it's gonna be passed down from, like, you get one painting, it's like, it's authentic, it's original, and it's gonna be passed down. Your kids gonna have it, your kids gonna have it, and you just keep it going.
Yeah. This is a random question, but I don't know if you know about Masterworks, the app.
Masterworks.
It's like it's an investment platform for art.
Mm.
It's pretty interesting. Like, I found out about it this year, but you can invest, like, you can purchase shares of, painting and artwork while it's holding on a gallery, and then once it sits for like 6 or 7 years and whatever, like, it sells to a private collector, you bank from what the profit is. So I don't know, like, I didn't research too much about it, but I wanted to see if you knew anything about it, or if you are involved in that sort of stuff, or what do you think about, like, how art has kind of, like, how art has sort of changed too in that sense, because it's like, man, I can't afford, let's say some crazy art by Banksy, right?
Mhm.
but I can buy like 10 shares of that art, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just sitting there in the gallery in some part of the world, and then 10 years down the line, you made a profit from that. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it sounds more. It sounds like the stock market in a way. You know, I can't buy McDonald's, but I could get a share in McDonald's, and later on down the line, you know, dab and stuff with the economy. You know, whatever goes with the economy, how it goes up and down, then you cash out. You know, once it hit a certain peak, and you know, like I say, it's like the business of art. You know, so it's like, you know, it is different from, you know, actually owning the artwork, you know, having a share in it versus owning it. I'd rather have the full pie than a piece of the pie and stuff. So, you know, it depends on the person. You know, for me, when it comes down to art, you know, I have a friend, and we would not sell none of his work, his collection and stuff. Um, and just due to the fact that some of his stuff is personal and some of his stuff it won't, you know, he just won't sell it. And you know, he mentioned the market thing and stuff and put it on there. And for the work that he will not sell, he put it on the thing called I forgot what it was called, the market art, the master. He put it on there and stuff. So I never really heard about it. This is my second time actually hearing about it and stuff. So yeah. So yeah.
you're
I have a
muted.
question.
Chris, you're muted. Oh, go ahead, David.
What you call it? What is the one artwork that you've done that you've had to repeat over and over until it was okay in your eyes?
The one I'm actually, well, dang, the one I just did, the painting I did for John, the commission piece I did for NFL player, because he actually challenged me because the size was like a huge size, so I was like, all right, cool. And every time I would come home, I'm like, that's not enough white, and I leave it, and I come back, that's not enough black. So I think that's the piece, and the piece I'm actually working on now. You know, certain things I want to change and stuff. So, you know, I think no work is never gonna be like truly done, because probably a week later you're gonna notice like something that's not like, you know, correct, and you know your OCD is like, all right, let me tweak this just a little bit, you know. So yeah.
What art have you created that you liked it the least?
The least, the ones I gave away.
Oh, never mind.
No, the one now that I like the least is right now it's in the studio. I'll say the purple collection. I really do like that the least now, because I did that work back, I think, in college, and I look at the work now, I'm just like, wow, like, you know. So I guess every time you like progress with your craft, and you know, you guys have crafts too, where you see work and you look back on it, it's like, dang, I sucked. Oh my gosh. But when you actually look at it, it's like, you know, to other people, like the person that's in his gallery now, he was like, that's old to you but new to me. So I would like to take it off your hands. And I was like, bro, it sucks. You don't want it. He was like, yes, I do. He's like, bring it. And I'm like, it took me 2 weeks to bring it to him, just due to the fact that, and my wife had to force me to bring it. Like, don't forget the work. And I'm like, this work sucks. Like, I was ready to, you know, just give it away or throw it away and stuff. So yeah, I say the purple collection. I really don't like it. So yeah, I give away my work. You know,
You gotta give some to Chris. He wants some of your work, bro. Or Chris, you gotta help the man too, bro. Pay the man if he's out.
no, it's just like, no, when people like, they come over, I'd be like, you want this piece? And they'd be like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool, you can have it. They'd be like, for real? I'm like, bro, take it.
That's
Bye.
what he told me. That's exactly what he told me. That's how I brought it up. was like, but,
You should have taken it. You both.
You're like,
Yeah, like
no, low key though, for real. Dude, got to support you. Got to buy some of those sports. I could have had one original, but
trust me, bro, I try to get them away, like, you know. But so yeah, so it's like, and people like they hate like a gallery. They hate when I do it. One of them, it was like, you know, if you do this again, we're not going to support you or whatever, however they say it. And you know, it made me get to the point where like, yo, like, you know, I'd rather be independent than, you know, be, you know, like trapped down to, you know, what you want me to do compared to what I want to do. And I was like, all right, cool, you know. So, and I still give it away, but it's like, you know, it's your craft. Nobody can tell you how to do you at the end of the day.
For sure.
you are a black-owned business.
Say that again?
You are or have a black-owned business.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that is true. Yeah. So,
All right.
so
lit.
yeah, that's what we're doing.
So if there's like, oh, Vinny,
No, no, I was gonna ask what.
Or are you gonna ask a question? Because I was gonna like,
I was gonna wrap it up, but
me too.
go ahead. Go ahead. You got this, bro. You got it. Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
All right, Chris. Well, I said Chris, Mike. Sorry,
It happens.
Mike. Before we wrap it up, can you like tell our viewers like where we could find your stuff, like your social media handles, where we could buy your prints and stuff like that before we end?
It's Hugue, the artist. That's my social media handle for my artwork. It's Hugue, the artist. And to buy prints or original work, you could type in like just my name, michaelhugue.com. You could go from there.
All right, you heard the man, michaelhugue.com, correct?
Let it out.
All right, and look him up on Instagram, you guys. With that being said, thank you, Mike, so much for, you know, taking your time. You could have been painting or whatever you were doing, but thank you for spending this time with us. We definitely appreciate it, and we miss you so much. Come through to YOUmedia. Well, not now, but what if things come back to normal? Definitely come through. We'd love for you to like probably do like an art workshop or something like that. I think that would be really dope. So with that being said, that is a wrap for our virtual podcast for Friday. Tune in once again next Monday for our game show podcast, which is always fun. So definitely look out for that. And with that being said, deuces, everybody. See you guys later.
Bye, Mike.
Bye, bye.
All right. I have a question.
Boy,
Oh, wow. Where he go?
To Mike, did he really leave YOUmedia though? Like, did he really quit?
He's gone. He left. Just like he left now. Just like he left now. He left.
That's crazy.
this is all gonna be on the video.
All right. Dang. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe.
Hey, see you later, X.